Good evening, it's another episode of Warspite the Wargamer. Back in the land of our fathers, or shall I say South Wales, and tonight we're going to be looking at Chepstow Castle. Before we start, I was at the Hammerhead Wargame show at the weekend, distributed a few leaflets there explaining what I'm doing. If you're enjoying what you're seeing from my contributions on YouTube, please feel free to subscribe, please feel free to leave us a thumbs up, and also leave comments, criticisms, whatever you like. So this is Chepstow Castle, the introduction, and there it is. Stunning building, dating from the early Norman conquest of South Wales. This would be Norman French or Anglo-Norman conquest. As you can see from this CADW photograph, there's a river crossing here, which the castle was built to defend. It's on the banks of the River Wye. If we just step inside the CADW guidebook, we get an overview of the site here. Gateway here, lower area, middle area, Great Tower, upper area, back gate. And if we go to the actual guidebook map, thoughtfully colour coded here. This is the edge of the River Wye, sheer drop off down there. This building here in the middle is the oldest one. They call it a Great Tower, but effectively it's a keep. It was originally about 1.5 stories high, pretty much as Castle Rising is today, which has been a previous film of mine. And when this was first built, there was a simple stone enclosure around it, simple gateouts here. Later periods, and we're now talking William Marshall, the famous William Marshall, servant of the Kings of England, built this wall here and out to here. When later changes which come in colour coded, his sons added that section. Roger Bigod increased the defence of this huge Martin's Tower here on a sumptuous domestic range there. And then we have this yellow material is in fact English Civil War repair, and an English Civil War gun port was put in here. There's also a huge breach which had been heavily buttressed. So this is the map and general overview of Chepstow Castle. Now let's move over to the film and see what you think of it. We are here today at Chepstow Castle in South Wales. We're on the banks of the River Wye. This is the great castle entrance. English built baronial castle, it wasn't royal. Built during the English conquest of South Wales. It's also most important in cinematic history, because it is where the film Jabberwocky was made. Jabberwocky, Terry Gilliam, Michael Palin film. It was filmed here, and in fact the main gate there represented the town gate in Jabberwocky. Right. This is a model of what I think the original Great Tower would have looked like before it was raised in height later. And that period coincides with this model. There you can see the Great Tower in the centre, the bank of the River Wye down below, and a simple circuit of walls around, possibly with a bit of a rock cut ditch showing at this end. Third stage of development. Great Tower in the centre has now been raised in height and width. Towers have been placed around the original wall circuit. An extra ward has been added on that end, and an extra ward or bailey has been put on this end with the great gatehouse that we came in. One of the great strength features of Chepstow Castle is the River Wye, which is beneath us. The castle is here, built along a high escarpment beside the River Wye. You can see it stretching up above us. The main keep is ahead of us. More buildings here. At one time there was a great jib or crane hanging over the wall there. And that jib or crane allowed ships to come in down here at high tide. I would come right in there and unload in that area. And then supplies would be brought up to that window, or possibly to a doorway that was once here. You can see the jambs of a door either side. So this is Chepstow Castle beside the River Wye. Very muddy at low tide, I wouldn't want to fall in it. And the river extending off in that direction up into Wales. I do like to check out the toilet arrangements, and here's an interesting example: the deep joy of the double loo. 2 seats. There would have been possibly a nice bit of warm wood originally, and that's straight down into the River Wye below us, and straight down into the River Wye there. And at least you can have a nice little natter while you're doing the business. So it's a double garderobe at Chepstow Castle. Now, it's not often you visit a castle and see the original main gate, but sure enough, this is it. 2 leaves opening in the middle. On that side, in the centre there, you can see a wicket gate, which should allow personnel through, just people. This is the original main gate of Chepstow Castle, which has been moved into a side tower. The present main gate is a reproduction. They had to move it here because it was starting to show some age. You will see here there's a lattice work type construction here, and you can also see large wooden roofs. They're the metal things that have been hammered over. Numerous iron nails and rows put in. And it is said that one of the reasons for having so many iron nails or bolts in a door is to blunt axes as they're striking. It would dull the axe and make it more difficult to break through. And then up at top, same lattice work construction, passing across to here, same lattice work construction again, and then down here to the very heavy ironwork that's supporting the wicket gate or man-sized gate. Right, passing through that gateway there, which has a flanking tower, we're now into the middle bailey. There's a long extent of walls along here, which would probably have had light structures against them at one time. And looking up the hill, we now have the great tower. Some might call it a keep. I'll just close on it if we can. There. And this is the River Wye is literally just over that side. Now, particular detail here is the main entrance into the Great Tower. I'm going to zoom in there, and you'll see a characteristic Norman feature, sometimes referred to as a tympanium or tympanium. It is this half-rounded Romanesque type shape, heavily detailed. There's some serious stone masonry taking place on there to cut in a pattern inside that pattern of stars or dog's teeth or whatever. But can you see above it, you've got a band of red tile or red brick. Now that red tile or red brick is not Norman, it is in fact Roman. It appears to have been applied here decoratively to create an interesting course of variation in the stone, and that Roman material is almost certainly taken from a nearby Roman building, either at Caerleon or Caerwent. Normans made much reuse of Roman material if they could find it. This is the interior of the Great Tower at Chepstow. That is the interior of the main entrance. That would you would have come through there, probably up a wooden staircase originally, and come out onto a floor level roughly along here, and there's an upper floor level been put in up there later, but this was probably a floor level on those timbers. Of course, this building has been much re-chopped later, but so this is inside the great tower. There's a staircase up there, various bays here, small window looking out that side, but most of the big windows face the river where they could not be shot into. Right, we're inside the great tower, some might say keep, of Chepstow Castle. The board here records it's one of the earliest stone defences known in Britain. It was originally only about a single story, but was later raised in height to that. So you've got a Norman lower foundation and a later Norman or early medieval extra structure wanged on top. Now, as with Castle Rising, which I've filmed earlier, you can see all the interior floors have disappeared. I said on my Castle Rising film there was some suggestion that Castle Rising had been intended to be extended in height, but never was. And this gives you an idea of where Castle Rising could have gone to if time and money had been spent on it. So this is inside the Great Tower at Chepstow. Right. I'm going to have to apologise to the seagulls here. They're noisier than me. We're still in the basement of the Great Tower, and you can see here that the Normans built their wall straight over the bare bedrock, and the cellar actually slopes down at about 5 to 10 degrees in that direction. They didn't even bother levelling the bottom of the cellar. So this is the basement level of the Great Tower, and up above us here we've got some more Norman style blind arcading, these blind arches, quite deep ones. They might have served to have seats or storage within them, but you also see the same thing appearing at places like Castle Acre and Castle Rising. So inside the basement of the Great Tower at Chepstow. Still inside the Great Tower at Chepstow, you'll notice there's a line of very thick tile running along that section of wall there. It repeats in other sections of the wall. I'll show you more later. And over here, that is not Norman tile. As far as we know, the Normans did not manufacture tile. That tile is Roman. The Normans were in the habit of strip mining material, stone robbing from other buildings. If you go to St Albans Cathedral in Hertfordshire, over half the building is built from brick by the Normans. The bricks were all taken from the nearby Roman city of Verulamium. In this case at Chepstow, we're not far from the Roman city of Caerwent and the Roman fort of Caerleon. So either would have been used as a quarry to bring material here. Frequent reason for building a castle at a river crossing is to protect a bridge or a ford. Because the River Wye here is tidal and quite deep, one has to presume it was originally a ferry. Ferry place, this might have been the only place along here with two suitable banks to launch and land a ferry. So consequently the castle, which we now see next to us, was built here to protect that crossing as much as possible. Here we are, again the Great Tower. We're now in the upper bailey on the far side of the Great Tower. There's more Roman material visible there in that corner. Looks like the Normans were a bit worried about the strength, so put that in there. And then you've got the wall of the upper bailey extending in that direction, and we're heading up towards at least two more gatehouses. Right, we're in the upper Barbican At the very back of the castle, this would be the castle's back door. This is a modern door, replacing the original that was here. The arch above us shows two slots, one there and one there, which might be for dropping material onto attackers. Here at the front we have a third slot which comes about halfway down. Now it could be a portcullis slot, but I'm a little bit surprised it doesn't come all the way to the bottom. Chepstow Castle was besieged twice during the English Civil War, and what we have here in front of us is an example of post-Civil War changes. This is the original medieval wall on the outside, which was actually breached. This is a later 1660s wall that was put in by a later governor, and the period space in between was packed full of solid earth and other material. And down below, somewhere in that area, he put in a great gun port, firing out into the town in that direction. So this is basically a post-English Civil War repair. We're looking at it from the great St Martin's Tower, which flanks the main entrance. You can see back across to the great tower, etc. in the distance over there. And of particular interest to anyone who might want to have a look, we are also above a matriculation slot. Unpleasantness could be dropped on anyone attempting to undermine the base of the wall in medieval times. So this slot leads all the way to the bottom of the wall. It means that defenders up here could drop quicklime, hot liquids, etc. straight down that hole to anyone at the base of the wall who had attempted to undermine it. But that's a medieval feature. And out there we have the castle dell, which may be a partly dug out ditch to defend the walls on this side from the town on that side. Chepstow Castle, South Wales, originally built by English lords, Norman lords conquering the area of South Wales for the Norman kings of England. This is the outside walls facing towards the town. Some indication that this area in front has been dug out as a ditch. Up there is the great tower, and this was used as settings for the film Jabberwocky, Terry Gilliam and Michael Palin. So that was Chepstow, second castle in my Welsh series. As I said at the beginning, if you like this, give us a thumbs up. If you like this, please subscribe. And if you like this, please leave comments or criticisms. So that's Warspite the Wargamer, wishing you a good evening.